My mama said one of you is my father.
37 motorcycles lined the dirt lot behind the Iron Thunder clubhouse, their chrome bodies catching the flicker of the bonfire. The men around them, leather jackets, tattoos, smoke curling from their lips, looked like ghosts of another world. And standing at the edge of it all was a little girl clutching a folded piece of paper. Amara Johnson, 10 years old, her braids pulled back tight, her sneakers covered in dust. She stared at the row of bikes like she'd just stepped into the lion's den. One of the bikers spotted her first. "Hey, sweetheart, you lost?" Amara didn't blink. "No, sir. I came to find someone." Laughter rippled through the crowd. A few men nudged each other, amused by the sight of a child in their territory. But when Cole Ryder Matthews, the club president, turned around, the laughter stopped. Ryder was a tall man with deep-set eyes and a scar that ran along his jaw. A reminder of the life he never outran. "You shouldn't be here, kid," he said, voice calm but firm. "This ain't a playground." Amara unfolded the paper with trembling hands. "My mama said one of you is my father." The entire lot went silent. For a few seconds, even the engine seemed to stop breathing. Ryder's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Something old, buried. "Your mama?" "Grace Johnson," she said quickly. "She died 2 months ago. I found this letter in her dresser." She handed him the page. It was worn, the ink smudged but readable. "If you're reading this, baby, I'm gone. But your daddy's alive. He's one of them. The Iron Thunder. Find him, but be careful. They're not who they used to be." Ryder folded the paper slowly. The name hit him like a hammer. Grace. He hadn't heard it in 10 years. "Where's your family now?" he asked quietly. Amara's voice cracked. "You're looking at it." A few bikers shifted uneasily. Others looked away. "Kid," Ryder said, "you can't just show up here saying something like that. You got any proof?" She looked up at him, eyes wet but unbroken. "That letter is the only proof I got, but I'm not leaving until I find out who he is." Ryder rubbed his temples, cursing under his breath. "Jesus! Grace, what did you drag this kid into?" Before he could say another word, headlights appeared down the road. A black SUV rolled to a stop, its tinted windows reflecting the firelight. One of the bikers muttered, "We expecting company?" Ryder's voice dropped. "No, and whoever they are, they ain't here for a drink." As the SUV doors opened, Amara gripped her mother's letter tighter, because she didn't know it yet. But someone else had been waiting for her to come looking, and they weren't family. The black SUV idled at the edge of the lot, its engine low and rumbling, not like a biker's roar, but like something colder. Ryder's hand instinctively went to the revolver on his hip. He gave a short nod, and half the Iron Thunder crew fanned out, stepping between the little girl and the approaching vehicle. "Who the hell are they?" one biker muttered. "No clue," Ryder said. "But they ain't here for good news." The driver's door opened. A tall man in a gray suit stepped out, followed by 2 others dressed the same. Polished, clean-cut, and out of place among the smoke and leather. Their shoes sank slightly into the dirt, the gleam of city money clashing with the raw grit of the biker lot. The man at the front adjusted his tie, his smile faint and unsettling. "Evening, gentlemen. We're looking for someone." Ryder didn't blink. "So are we." The man's eyes moved past him, landing on Amara, standing behind the row of bikes. His expression shifted. "There she is," Ryder's tone hardened. "You got business with the kid, you take it up with me." The man raised his palms. "We're not here to hurt anyone. My name's Mason Drake. We're with a private agency. That girl's mother, Grace Johnson, worked for a client of ours before she passed." Amara frowned. "My mama was a nurse." Mason tilted his head, the faintest smirk on his lips. "Is that what she told you?" Something in his tone made Ryder's skin crawl. "Let me guess," Ryder said. "You're not here to deliver flowers." "No," Mason replied. "We're here for what she left behind. And if that girl's carrying anything that belonged to Grace Johnson, you'd be smart to hand it over." Every biker's hand went to their weapon. The air thickened. Ryder took 1 step forward, boots crunching in the gravel. "You show up at my lot, you threaten a kid, and you think we're gonna stand down?" Mason didn't flinch. "You think this is about you, Mr. Matthews? This is about a deal your club made a decade ago. One Grace Johnson helped cover up." Amara's eyes widened. "That's a lie!" Ryder's voice turned to gravel. "You got 10 seconds to get off this property before I turn your fancy car into scrap metal." Mason's smile vanished. "You have no idea what you're protecting." The men turned back toward the SUV. One of them glanced at Ryder. "You just made a mistake." As the SUV rolled away, dust rose into the air, and something small and metallic dropped from its window. Ryder walked over and picked it up. It was a silver coin, stamped with an insignia he hadn't seen in years. A black falcon with spread wings. His throat tightened. "No way," he whispered. "They're still alive." "Who?" Amara asked softly. Ryder looked at her, face pale under the firelight. "The same men your mother ran from." But what Ryder didn't know, as the SUV vanished into the dark, was that a hidden tracker inside that silver coin had already locked onto the Iron Thunder clubhouse. And by sunrise, they'd have company. The Iron Thunder clubhouse was quieter than usual that night. The laughter, the poker games, the endless roar of engines, gone. Every man inside moved with tense silence. The coin Ryder found now sat on the bar counter, lit by the dim neon sign above it. That black falcon stamped into the metal felt like a ghost staring back. "Talk to me, boss," said Tex, one of the older bikers. "Who the hell are these suits?" Ryder took a slow drag from his cigarette. "They're not suits. They're the Black Falcon Syndicate. Old enemies. Mercenaries. The kind that disappear people and erase records for money." Tex frowned. "I thought we buried that war years ago." "So did I," Ryder said. "Grace Johnson was one of the reasons it ended." Amara, sitting quietly nearby, looked up. "My mom? What does she have to do with them?" Ryder sighed. "Your mom wasn't just a nurse, kid. She worked in a medical lab that the Falcons were funding. They were testing drugs, black market stuff. When she found out what they were doing to people, she leaked it. She risked her life to shut them down." Amara's voice broke. "You're saying my mom was part of that?" Ryder nodded slowly. "She didn't just run from them, Amara. She took something. Evidence. Files. Money. Maybe both. That's why they want you. They think you know where she hid it." Tears welled in her eyes. "She never told me." Ryder crouched in front of her, his voice softer now. "She didn't tell you because she was trying to keep you safe. But if the Falcons think you've got what they want, you're not safe anymore. Oh, not unless we fight back." Before anyone could respond, the power flickered. Once, twice, then went out completely. The clubhouse plunged into darkness. "What the hell?" Tex started, but the rest of his words were drowned by the sound of glass shattering. Gunfire erupted outside. "Positions!" Ryder barked. The bikers grabbed weapons, ducking behind tables and walls. Headlights flashed through the windows. Black SUVs circling the lot, gunmen firing from the dark. Amara screamed as a bullet tore through a neon sign. Hawk smoke filled the air. Ryder grabbed her hand and pulled her into a back hallway. "Stay behind me!" Bullets tore through wood and concrete. The Iron Thunder fought back hard, their engines roaring to life as riders kicked through the doors, tearing into the night like a swarm of hornets. Ryder fired through the window, hitting one of the SUV's tires. Flames burst near the fence line. After minutes that felt like hours, the shooting stopped. Smoke hung in the air, sirens wailing in the distance. Tex staggered in from the yard, bleeding from his shoulder. "They're gone. For now." Ryder slammed his fist against the wall. "They're not trying to kill us yet. They're testing how far we'll go." He looked down at Amara, trembling but unbroken. "They won't stop, will they?" she whispered. Ryder shook his head. "Not until they get what your mama took." He picked up the silver coin again, turning it in his hand. Beneath the falcon's wings, a number was engraved. 17B, Ryder frowned. "Grace, what the hell were you hiding?" But before sunrise, Ryder would get his answer. Buried in a place he swore he'd never go back to. The old Ravenwood Cemetery, where Grace Johnson was buried, and she hadn't been buried alone. Dawn broke heavy over Ravenwood. The air was thick with fog, curling through the trees like smoke from a dying fire. Ryder Matthews rode slow along the cracked back road, the rumble of his Harley echoing through the still air. Behind him, Amara clung to his jacket, her small hands gripping the leather like her life depended on it. Neither of them spoke. The weight of what happened last night hung between them. The gunfire, the syndicate, the truth about Grace. After a few miles, Ryder turned down a gravel path that led to a rusted iron gate. The sign above it read Ravenwood Cemetery. "This where she is?" Amara asked softly. "Yeah," Ryder said, killing the engine. "Last place I wanted to see again." They walked side by side past crooked headstones and overgrown grass until they reached a small marble marker at the far end. It read, "Grace Johnson, loving mother." Gone but not forgotten. Amara knelt down, fingers brushing over the carved letters. "Hi, Mama," she whispered. "I found him. I found the club." Ryder stayed back, removing his cap, head bowed. The silence between them was fragile, almost sacred. Then something caught his eye. At the base of the headstone, half buried in the dirt, was a piece of metal, a rusted dog tag. He picked it up, wiping away the mud. There were 2 letters scratched into the back, CM. His chest tightened, Amara noticed. "What's that?" He hesitated. "It's mine," her brow furrowed. "Yours?" Ryder nodded slowly. "I gave this to Grace before she left. Told her if she ever needed me, she knew how to find me." "Then why didn't she?" His voice broke slightly. "Because I was the reason she had to run in the first place." Before he could say more, Amara gasped. "Mr. Ryder, look!" She pointed toward the grave. Something metallic was wedged beneath the headstone. A small, weatherproof flash drive, taped in place. Ryder pried it loose carefully. It was old, dirt-stained, but intact. "Your mom left this here for a reason." Amara's hands shook. "What's on it?" Only one way to find out. But before they could leave, the rumble of an engine echoed through the woods. Ryder froze. "That wasn't one of his bikes. Stay low," he said quickly. He guided Amara behind a nearby monument, peering toward the gate. A black SUV crept into the cemetery, the same model from last night. Two men stepped out, scanning the grounds with flashlights. One of them carried a silenced pistol. Ryder's pulse hammered. "They followed us," Amara whispered. "What do we do?" He reached for his gun. "We run, quietly." They moved fast through the graves, ducking low. But just as they reached the fence, one of the men shouted, "There! The girl!" Gunfire cracked through the fog. Bullets chewed through stone and grass. Ryder fired back, taking cover behind a tree. "Go! Get to the bike!" Amara sprinted, clutching the flash drive. She made it to the Harley just as Ryder hit the ignition. Tires screeched, mud sprayed, and they tore out of the cemetery with bullets whizzing past their heads. As the wind roared in her ears, Amara looked down at the flash drive. Her mother's final secret was in her hands. But what neither of them knew, that flash drive didn't just hold the truth about Grace's past. It held the name of the man Amara had come to find, her father, and he was closer than either of them realized. The Iron Thunder clubhouse was in lockdown. The windows were boarded, the lights dimmed, and two armed guards stood watch outside, inside. Ryder Matthews sat at the old bar counter with Tex and Amara, the flash drive lying between them like a live grenade. He exhaled slowly. "If Grace hid this, it wasn't meant for anyone to see. But she wanted you to find it, kid, so we're opening it." Tex connected the drive to a battered laptop. The screen flickered. Loaded files appeared, one by one, labeled in neat, encrypted folders. Falcon Operations, 2012. Financial Records, Johnson, G. DNA, confidential. Amara frowned. DNA, Ryder's jaw clenched. "Let's see what your mom was hiding." Tex clicked it open. There were scanned documents, medical forms, blood tests, signatures. Then, a line of text that made Ryder's stomach drop. Paternity confirmation. Subject, Amara Johnson. Father, Cole Matthews. The room went still. Amara looked from the screen to Ryder, confusion clouding her small face. "That's you." Ryder couldn't breathe. He'd spent years outrunning the mistakes of his past. But this one had found him. Tex swore under his breath. "Holy hell, boss. You're her old man." Ryder stood up, pacing. "No, I can't. She never told me." "She never said a word. She didn't have to," Tex said quietly. "She was protecting you both." Amara stared at the document, tears welling in her eyes. "You're saying my mama loved you?" Ryder sat down slowly, his voice low, gravelly. "Yeah, we were kids. I was running with the club, making bad choices. When Grace found out what the Falcons were doing, she begged me to leave. I didn't listen. So she ran, and took you with her," Amara whispered. "You didn't know?" Ryder shook his head. "If I did, I'd have burned the world to find you." Before the silence could settle, Tex's laptop pinged again. Another folder had opened. Project Falcon Witness Protection. Ryder frowned. "That's not medical." Tex scrolled down. There were emails, messages between Grace and someone named Agent N. Harris. Amara read aloud. "They found me. Tell Ryder I'm sorry. If I don't make it, keep Amara safe. The files are hidden under my name, but he'll know where to look. The letter will lead him." Tex looked up. "Agent N. Harris, that's gotta be Detective Nina Harris. The one who's been hanging around our cases," Ryder cursed. "I knew she wasn't just a cop." Right then, headlights flashed outside. Tex peered through the blinds. "We got company." Ryder grabbed his gun. "The Syndicate?" Tex's voice dropped. "No. Cops." Dozens of police cruisers rolled into the lot, sirens cutting through the night. A voice over the loudspeaker shouted, "Cole Matthews, step outside with your hands up." Amara's eyes widened. "What's happening?" "They're framing me," Ryder said grimly. "They know what we found." He turned to Tex. "Get her out the back. Take the USB. I'll draw them off." Amara grabbed his hand, terrified. "No! You just found me!" Ryder looked at her with fire in his eyes. "And I'm not losing you again. You hear me? As he stepped out into the blinding floodlights, the truth burned in his chest. Grace died protecting her daughter. Now, Ryder would have to live protecting her secret, but the woman behind those sirens was Detective Nina Harris herself, the one Grace trusted most. The blinding glare of the floodlights cut across the Iron Thunder lot. Engines idled, radios crackled, and a dozen red laser dots danced over the clubhouse walls. Ryder Matthews stood in the open, hands raised, his black leather jacket gleaming under the lights. Cole Matthews, a commanding voice barked through the loudspeaker. "Step away from the building!" He squinted, and then saw her. Detective Nina Harris stepped out from behind a police cruiser, flanked by tactical officers. Her badge glinted on her vest, her expression unreadable. "Nina," Ryder growled, "you've got a hell of a way of saying hello." "Don't make this harder than it has to be," she said coldly. "You're wanted for obstruction, illegal possession of firearms, and association with organized crime." Ryder smirked. "You forgot jaywalking," the corner of her mouth twitched. "You always were cocky." The bikers inside were watching through the cracks in the boarded windows, waiting for Ryder's signal. Tex whispered, "Boss, just say the word." But Ryder didn't move. He looked Nina dead in the eyes. "You used to wear a badge for the right reasons. Now you're working for them, aren't you?" She hesitated. "For who?" "The Black Falcon Syndicate," he said, his voice sharp as glass. "Grace's files. You helped bury 'em." The air went still. Behind her calm expression, a muscle in her jaw twitched. "You don't know what you're talking about." "Oh, I do," he snapped. "Grace trusted you. You were her contact in witness protection. You leaked her location, didn't you?" Her silence was the answer. For the first time, Amara saw the woman her mother had once called a friend, now just another enemy wearing a badge. Nina's tone hardened. "Cole, I don't want anyone else to die tonight. Hand over the girl and the drive." "You can walk away alive," Ryder laughed bitterly. "You think I'm trading a kid for a clean slate? You don't know me at all." "Then you leave me no choice," she said quietly. "Open fire!" Before she could give the full order, the Iron Thunder's engines roared to life. Dozens of motorcycles burst through the side doors of the clubhouse, tires spinning, smoke filling the lot. Gunfire erupted, sparks flying off steel and chrome. Ryder dove for cover, pulling Amara behind a concrete barrier. Tex rode past them, firing over his shoulder. "Boss!" he yelled. "We're surrounded!" Ryder's jaw clenched. Not for long. He fired twice at the gas tanks of the parked cruisers. The explosions lit up the night sky, shockwaves ripping through the lot. Officers dove for cover as bikes roared through the smoke, scattering into the backwoods. When the chaos cleared, the police radios crackled with static, and both Ryder and Amara were gone. Hours later, deep in the forest, they stopped at an abandoned cabin. The night was silent except for crickets and the faint hum of engines far away. Amara sat by the window, her small hands still shaking. Why would she do that? Ryder knelt beside her. "Because your mom had something they wanted. Something worth killing for. And now they think you've got it." Amara looked up, her voice trembling. "Then what do we do now?" He stood, reloading his gun. "We stop running. We find the truth. And we end this." But the truth was already closer than they knew. Because in the forest shadows, Detective Harris was listening through a tracker she'd slipped under Ryder's bike. And she wasn't alone. The cabin smelled of old wood and gasoline. The air was still, heavy with the kind of silence that only comes before something terrible. Ryder sat by the table, staring at the flickering candlelight dancing across the flash drive. His mind was miles away. Back to the night he lost Grace. "You were too good for this world," he muttered. Amara sat curled on the couch, her mother's letter clutched to her chest. "You think my mom knew they were going to kill her?" Ryder's throat tightened. "She didn't run because she was scared. She ran because she was brave enough to stand up to monsters." Outside, an owl hooted. The forest was dark. Too dark. Tex stepped into the cabin, brushing dirt off his vest. "Boss, roads are clear. Cops are fanning out toward the east. We got about an hour before they circle back." Ryder nodded. "Good. We'll move before dawn." Tex lingered, his expression uneasy. "You sure this kid's worth dying for?" Ryder shot him a glare. "You ask me that again, and you'll be the one I bury." Tex raised his hands. All right. Just making sure we're all still thinking straight." He left through the back door, but he didn't go far. Moments later, his phone buzzed. A message flashed across the screen. "Confirm location. Payment on delivery." Tex swallowed hard. He glanced toward the cabin, guilt carving deep lines into his face. Then he hit send. Inside, Ryder connected the flash drive again. The screen loaded another hidden file. Audio this time. a recording labeled Falcon Intercept Aero 9. He pressed play. Grace's voice filled the cabin, soft, trembling. If you're hearing this, they found me. Ryder, I don't blame you. I know what you did, and I forgive you. But you can't trust them. Not all of them. Someone in the club sold us out, Ryder froze. No, Amara whispered. She knew? Grace's voice cracked through static. His name is Tex. He's working with Nina Harris. Please, protect our daughter. Ryder's stomach turned to ice. He stood slowly, fury burning in his eyes. Stay inside, he told Amara. He walked out into the cold, moonlit clearing. Tex was leaning against his bike, pretending to smoke. Funny, Ryder said, voice low. I was just thinking about loyalty. Tex turned, startled. Boss, what are you? Ryder's fist hit him like a hammer. Tex stumbled back, blood spraying from his mouth. You sold us out, Ryder roared. Grace, the club, now this kid. Tex raised his hands, coughing. It wasn't supposed to go this far. They said they'd let you live if I just gave up the girl. Ryder grabbed him by the collar. And you believed him? Before Tex could answer, the forest lit up. Headlights slicing through the trees. Dozens of men in black tactical gear surrounded the clearing. The Black Falcon Syndicate had arrived. Amara ran to the door, eyes wide with terror. Ryder! He turned toward her, then shoved Tex aside and yelled, Run! Gunfire tore through the night. Tex dropped instantly, hit by the first wave of bullets. Ryder fired back, dragging Amara behind a fallen log. The forest exploded with flashes of gunfire and screams. But in the chaos, one voice rose above it all. Nina Harris, shouting through a megaphone. Cole Matthews, surrender the girl and you'll live. She doesn't belong to you. Ryder's jaw clenched. Like hell she doesn't. Pinned down and outnumbered, Ryder had one bullet left, and one chance to save the only piece of Grace he had left. But the next face he'd see in the crossfire wasn't the enemy. It was his own brother, thought to be dead for years, now standing with the Falcons. The forest burned with chaos. Gunfire cracked through the trees, the smell of smoke and gasoline thick in the air. Ryder Matthews crouched low behind a fallen log, shielding Amara with his body as bullets tore through the dirt inches from their heads. Stay down, he barked. His revolver clicked empty. He slammed the chamber open only to find he had one bullet left. Damn it, he hissed. Through the smoke, figures advanced. Men in tactical black with Falcon insignias on their vests. Their boots moved in perfect rhythm, like shadows trained to kill. Then a voice, deep, familiar, and impossible. Been a long time, brother. Ryder froze. His heart dropped to his stomach. From the tree line stepped a man in full combat gear, his rifle slung low and a jagged scar running across his temple. Ethan Matthews, the brother Ryder buried 10 years ago. Ryder's throat went dry. You're supposed to be dead, Ethan smirked. So were you. Amara peeked from behind the log, confused. That's your brother? Was, Ryder muttered, standing slowly. The Falcon soldiers held fire as Ethan raised a hand. This doesn't have to end in blood, Cole. Just hand over the girl and the drive. You walk away free, Ryder laughed. Cold, bitter. You sound just like the suits who ruined everything. Guess death really does change a man. Ethan's voice hardened. You think Grace didn't make her choice? You think she didn't know the cost of crossing the Falcons? Ryder's jaw clenched. You killed her. Ethan shook his head. No, I tried to save her. You're the one who didn't show up. The words hit like a punch. Memories flashed. The night Grace called, begging him to leave the club. The storm that kept him from getting to her in time. The call that ended with a gunshot, Amara whispered. Stop fighting. Please. Ethan stepped closer, rifle raised. She was trying to protect the girl, Cole. But it doesn't matter anymore. The Syndicate wants that data, and they'll burn this forest to the ground to get it. Ryder glanced at Amara, then back at his brother. Then they'll have to burn me too. Ethan sighed. Always the hero. He leveled his rifle. Don't make me do this. Ryder's hand hovered near his holster. You already did. A long time ago. They moved at the same time. Ethan's rifle flashed. Ryder dove, the gunshot echoing through the woods. Both men fell. Amara screamed, running to Ryder's side. Ryder, please, wake up! Ryder groaned, clutching his arm. The bullet had grazed him, but Ethan wasn't so lucky. He lay bleeding near a fallen tree, his vest torn, eyes fading. Ryder crawled over, blood dripping down his sleeve. Why, Ethan? Why them? Ethan coughed, barely whispering. They promised me a second chance. Said if I delivered the girl, I'd be free. Ryder's voice broke. You could have come to me. Ethan's gaze softened. You were always the better man, brother. He reached into his vest pocket and pulled out a small data chip. The same Falcon insignia etched on it. Grace gave me this. Said to give it to you if she didn't make it. Ryder took it, trembling. Ethan's final words barely escaped his lips. It's the truth she died for. Don't waste it. His eyes went still. Ryder clenched the chip in his fist, his jaw shaking. You're damn right I won't. He turned to Amara, eyes blazing. We end this tonight. As the remaining Falcons regrouped beyond the flames, Ryder loaded his final bullet and whispered, For Grace. For my brother. For her. Because the next sunrise wouldn't bring peace. It would bring war. The first light of dawn bled through the trees, painting the smoke-filled sky in shades of crimson and ash. The forest around Ravenwood burned slow, glowing embers where the Iron Thunder and the Black Falcon Syndicate had torn each other apart. Ryder Matthews limped through the wreckage, blood running down his arm, the data chip clutched in his fist. Behind him, Amara followed close, her face streaked with dirt and tears, but her eyes stayed locked on him, unbroken. They reached the edge of the woods, where the Syndicate's black trucks sat wrecked and abandoned. Beyond them, the old Falcon compound loomed, a concrete fortress hidden deep in the valley. Ryder stopped, scanning the ridge. This is it, kid. Where your mom's fight ended, Amara swallowed hard. And where ours starts, he smiled faintly. You're her daughter, all right? They crept through the trees until they reached the back gate. 2 guards were posted there, unaware they were being watched. Ryder motioned for silence. With a single, silent takedown, the guards dropped. Inside the compound, computer screens flickered. The Syndicate's servers hummed. The Empire Grace Johnson had tried to expose still alive, still thriving. And standing in the middle of it all, waiting, was Detective Nina Harris. She turned slowly as they entered. You're a stubborn man, Cole. Ryder aimed his pistol at her. You should have stayed a cop, Nina. She smiled coldly. And missed the chance to clean up the mess your woman made? Grace stole from the Syndicate. She thought she could play hero. You think I'd let her ruin everything we built? Amara stepped forward, tears streaming down her cheeks. You killed her. Nina didn't even flinch. I didn't pull the trigger, but I gave them her address. Ryder's hand tightened around the gun. Then you're just as guilty. Maybe, she said, but you won't live long enough to prove it. She raised her own weapon. But before she could fire, Ryder tossed the data chip into a server port. The screens exploded to life, hundreds of files opening at once. Transactions, blackmail, murder contracts, Falcon payrolls. Evidence pouring out like a digital flood. What did you do? Nina screamed. Ryder grinned. Gave the world what Grace died for. He pulled the trigger. The bullet hit the control panel behind her. Sparks erupted, flames licking across the wires. Run! He shouted to Amara. They bolted as the compound erupted behind them. Nina fired wildly through the smoke, but her shots went wide. By the time they reached the tree line, the Falcon servers were engulfed in fire, data streaming to every major news outlet before the power died. Ryder and Amara collapsed beside his bike, both coughing, trembling, but alive. Sirens wailed in the distance. The morning air smelled like ash and justice. Amara looked up at him, voice small. Is it over? He nodded, exhaustion softening his features. Yeah, baby girl. It's over. Tears slipped down her cheeks. What happens now? Ryder smiled faintly. Now you live. You grow up free. You remember your mama was a hero. She hesitated, then whispered, And you? He chuckled softly. Guess I finally get to be what she always wanted me to be. A better man. As the Iron Thunder bikers emerged from the smoke, the rising sun hit their chrome like firelight. They gathered around, silent, nodding in respect. Ryder climbed onto his Harley and looked back one last time at the burning compound. For Grace, he murmured. Amara climbed behind him, arms around his waist. They rode off into the horizon, engines roaring like thunder, carrying the last of a promise kept. And from that day on, every biker in Ravenwood carried the same story. About a little girl who walked into their world searching for her father, and helped him find his soul instead.